Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about all of the series that I'm currently in the middle of and whether I'll be finishing them or not. I've seen a couple of other people do these and I absolutely love watching them. And I dug through like the depths of my read list all the way back to like 2022 to see whether there's any series I haven't finished yet and why. Just as a note on the kinds of books I'm going to include, I'm not going to include anything where I've read the first book and I've spoke really positively about the first book and I'm just waiting for the sequel. I am definitely going to be reading those. Some examples of things like that include Cage of Wild Birds, Shield of Sparrows, Book 3 and Quicksilver. Obviously I'm going to be continuing all of those series. I've spoke about them really positively before. These are some series I've not spoken about too much and I thought it'd be interesting to dive into those to see whether I'm going to finish them and if I'm not, why. So before we dive into this video, make sure you have hit like and also subscribed if you aren't already. If you're new here, hi, I'm Becca. I talk a lot about fantasy romance books. And as you're watching this, if there's any series that I'm saying I'm thinking about picking back up or restarting, let me know if you've loved it in the comments. I need some encouragement to pick some of these back up. Without further ado, let's just dive in. Up first on my list is The Dagger and the Flame, or the City of Phantoms series by Catherine Doyle. Will I be continuing this series? So book 2 is out. I haven't read book 2 yet. However, yes, I absolutely will be doing. This is one of my 5-star YA series. I loved this book so much. This is my first read from Catherine Doyle and I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on some of her other books. This gave me a lot of what I needed. It was really reminiscent to me of like the early Throne of Glass books. I love the sizzling enemies to lovers romance. I love like the yearning in this. There's something about YA and the way it does yearning so well. I will absolutely be picking up book 2 and then probably book 3 when it comes out as well. I feel like book 2 would have to go really wrong for me to not finish this series. I have multiple copies of this. It is genuinely one of my favourite books I read. I think in 2024 I read this. Whenever it came out, I'm pretty sure I read it like the month it came out. I was so excited about it. This is going on the pile of absolutely I will be finishing this series. Something would have to go horrifically wrong for me not to. Next up on the list is a book that I'm surprised I haven't read the sequel of yet, actually, because it's been out for quite some time. That probably gives you a clue on where this one's going. That is Fantasma by Kaylee Smith. I want to say Enchantra's been out for quite some time. Again, this is a 5-star book I had a really, really great time with. I'm not too sure why I haven't dove into Fantasma's sequel, Enchantra. I think because it's about the sister and like I really loved this couple and I just haven't got excited about the sister in the same way I've got excited about the main character in this book. I think for no reason either. Like I finished this and I was absolutely geared up ready to go with book 2 and it wasn't quite out yet, and then now I've waited a little bit. I am going to go back to this. That's the answer. I will be finishing this series. I think I'm just going to wait a little bit. I think there's a 3rd book coming out, right? Maybe I'll wait until book 3 is out to do books 2 and book 3. But this is one I would be really surprised if I didn't end up finishing. The benefit of this series is they're actually standalone, so they follow different characters even though they are interconnected. So actually I could dip back into this at any point. I think I'm waiting for the moment to strike when I'm in the mood for something that's a standalone and spicy and dark with a bit of that kind of horror and gothic elements as well. Same with Dagger and the Flame, actually. I think I'm going to pick that back up when I'm really in my like YA yearning phase and I just need a YA yearning book. That's what I'm going to go back to. So Fantasma, yes, probably going to finish this one off. Next up, let's talk about a bit of romance. I don't talk about romance too much on this channel and it's because it's not one of my main genres, but I do really enjoy it. This is the Sparrow Fall series by Catherine Cowles. Am I going to finish you? Absolutely, I'm going to finish this one. Look, Sparrow Falls was here for me when I really needed it. When I was slumping last year, it came in at clutch to make sure that I could actually finish a book. I've read the first 4, actually. I've read Fragile Sanctuary, what are the rest of them called? Delicate Escape, Broken Harbour and Beautiful Exile. I have really enjoyed all of them. I think my favourites so far are books 2 and books 4. I just have the 5th and 6th book to go, so Chasing Shelter and Secret Haven. I have been saving these for, again, when that slump, I'm kind of in one, when that slump hits, I know these are going to help pull me out of that. I've been saving these for a rainy day. I've been saving them for a time where I just need something that I know I can read in a day, I can just sink myself straight into. These are small town romantic suspense, so whilst the romance is perfect and the small town vibes are cozy, the suspense and thrill in these is really what kind of keeps me going through them. These books carried me for a solid month in 2025. And I think the only reason I hadn't read book 5 and 6 yet is because the first 4 were the only ones that had been republished at the time. But I will be continuing the series. I'm not even specifically waiting for anything, maybe just like when I feel the need to pick up some contemporary romance. This will probably be the first thing I'm reaching for. Up next is a bit of monster romance, and that is the Deep Water series by Emma Hamm. I'm having you on here. Of course I'm going to finish this series. I think the only one I haven't read is Secrets of the Void, which is the brand new one. I actually just received this a couple of weeks ago. I love Emma Hamm, particularly the Deep Water series is one of my favourite monster romances of all time. Will I be finishing it? Of course I'll be finishing it. I'll absolutely be finishing it. Is The Sky Blue. I think this is the last book in the Deep Water series, so it is literally just this last one to go, but as you can see, I already have a copy of it ready and waiting for me. I think particularly I might try and finish this before I go to a Polycon, because I'm meeting the author again in April. And I haven't included it on this list, but I'm also 2 books into the, what is that series called? Her new troll romance, Darkness So Sweet. I've read the first 2 books within that series, so Darkness So Sweet and A Light So Blinding. There's a 3rd one coming out, and I do intend on finishing that series too. Emma Ham gets a big tick and straight onto a priority TBR for me. Next up is another YA option, and this is A Tempest of Tea by Hafsa Faizal, or what is this called? The Blood and Tea series? Bear with me. I was right, this is called the Blood and Tea series. I've read book 1, book 2 is out, and I think book 2 finishes the duology. Will I be finishing it? Yes, absolutely, I will be finishing this one. I really love this. This was a 5-star read for me. However, it does sit slightly in a different subgenre than what I usually am gravitated towards. I'm specifically talking here about the fact that it is very heisty in nature. I don't really read a lot of heist style books, but this has a lot of things I loved. I love the writing style. I loved the element of vampires in this one. I loved the characters. Oh my god, the characters were all so addicting. So I will be getting into book 2. Book 2 has been out for a little while. I think it's called A Steeping in Blood. But again, I'm going to have to wait until that YA, fantasy, heisty mood really takes over me, and I fully believe that it will at some point. So as soon as I'm feeling something heisty, I know for a fact I'm probably going to give this one a reread actually, because I enjoyed it so much, and then dive straight into book 2. But it's just not one that's right at the top of my list to read. Oh, I've just realised there's like artwork in here. It's not one that's at the top of my list to read, just because, I don't know, there's some of the other books on this list that I think are slightly higher. So I will get to you, I promise. I would be really disappointed in myself if I didn't finish this series, because I loved book 1 so much. Up next is the Bonded by Thorn series by Elizabeth Helen. I have read book 1 of this series, although I do own the first 4. At the time that I'm filming this, I don't think any more books other than the first 4 are out. Will I be finishing this series? This one is a probably, yes. It's not like 100% confirmed. I'm dying to finish it, but yeah, probably I will finish this one. The only reason I haven't read more of this series is because at the time that I read this, I had read lots of unfinished series and I was struggling to keep all the storylines separate in my brain. So I read book 1 and really enjoyed it, and then I just made the conscious decision to put it down until the other books in the series are out. There's definitely less kind of series that I'm in the middle of now, and I feel a bit more comfortable picking up like the first book in a series or the first 2 in a series and leaving it open. I've done that with quite a few series recently. But at the time that I read this, I was really focusing on trying to finish like a completed series where I could have some kind of like closure on a series. I just had so many that were open, or that I was left on a cliffhanger on, that I was like, I need some things that are just complete. So that's the only reason I put this series down. I will probably be picking it back up. I don't know when that's going to be. I think it's going to be quite a few years till the series is finished, however. So that's why I'm making it a probably, just in case it takes years and years, and then for some reason maybe I'm just reading entirely different things. You know, our tastes change. Maybe I won't read it, but probably I will. I loved everything about this. Up next, we have A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle L. Jensen. I am not going to finish this one. I'm so sorry, Danielle L. Jensen. I don't know what it was about this one. I have so many mutuals and friends who absolutely are obsessed with this one, and I think it's just a 2-book series, so it's actually just 1 book that I need to read. It's just the 2nd book. I just didn't care about these characters enough. I didn't care about the story enough. I can't really remember any of it. Why do I think there's something to do with fish at the beginning? And why do I think there's like a hut that burns down? I don't know. There's like, it feels like a dream I had like months ago, and like just bits of it come back to me. So I would have to do a full reread of book 1 to dive into book 2. And that's just not something I want to do. I'm just going to be honest with you. I just don't want to read this one. It was fine. It was okay, I think. I rated it pretty middle of the road. But yeah, it was then a while since book 1 came out until book 2 came out, and I just haven't gone back to pick it up, and I don't think I'll be going back to pick it up either. I'm really sorry, Danielle L. Jensen. Also by Danielle L. Jensen, I have the Bridge Kingdom series. This one, however, is a yes. I will be completing this series. I read this series when it was just book 1 and book 2 out. So at the time, I was like, great, duology, smashed it, mate. I have completed it. Now there's going to be 6 books. So I've read the original duology. I really, really loved Lara and Aaron's story, and the world, particularly the world actually in this one, I thought was fantastic. I haven't read books 3 and 4. I was about to pick up books 3 and 4, and then they changed the covers, and then they released book 5, and then book 5 is the first book in a duology, so there's going to be a book 6. So now I am just waiting for book 6 to come out, and then I think I'm going to dive back in from the start, from the Bridge Kingdom, read book 1 through to 6, and experience all 3 couples across that series. This was really, really highly rated for me. It's been a couple of years since I read this, so I wonder if my thoughts on this have changed. I always really recommend this if you are just getting into fantasy romance. I think this series is a great one, particularly that first duology. As I said, I've not read the rest. I really love this one, particularly the character of Lara. I think at the time that I read this, I hadn't really read any female characters like this. Now I've definitely read some books, and they're some of my favourite books. I can definitely pull comparisons between those female main characters. But at the time that I read this was groundbreaking for me. And I know one of my friends, Rosie, actually credits this series with being one of the series that got her into reading as an adult, so I definitely have to go back in and read the rest of it, I feel. Next up, we have the Rose Hill series by Elsie Silver. Now, whilst I have loved the Elsie Silver Chestnut Springs series, I really did not get on with book 1 in the Rose Hill series. I don't know what it was. I'm not like naturally gravitating towards single parent romances. I don't mind when they pop up. Like, it's not that I have an aversion to them. I quite enjoyed the one that was in Sparrow Falls. But I just didn't get on with book 1 in this series, and I haven't read the rest of them. I've actually recently on hold these books from my collection, which felt like a big move because I had previously really, really loved some of Elsie Silver's stuff. This one, I'm putting my foot down. I kept saying I'm going to go back to it. I'm just not. I've heard that the rest of the books in the series are potentially better. But there just wasn't enough within book 1 for me that I was remotely interested in picking up the rest of the set. I think particularly because I read less contemporary romance now than I did maybe a few years ago. I would say in 2023 and 2024, it was a pretty like 60-40 split where I read like 60% fantasy, 40% contemporary romance. Now it is a pretty like 95% fantasy romance, 5% contemporary romance. So because I know I'm going to get through limited contemporary romance books this year, this just isn't high on my list. It's not high on my priority. I have other contemporary romance books I'd much prefer to read than this one. I'm sorry if you really like this. I know a lot of people love this series, and I can see why it's perfect for some people. It just wasn't for me, and I'm not interested in reading the rest of the series. So this one is a no. I'm halfway through it, but I will not be finishing it. Up next, we have Immortal Dark by Tigist Germer. I believe this is now going to be a trilogy. I do have book 1 and 2. Book 3 isn't out yet, but the only one I've read is book 1. However, I will absolutely be finishing this series. Oh my god, was this fantastic. This was a 5-star dark academia, but also like vampire romance kind of situation that I ate up. I really enjoyed this one. I'm really excited to dive back into this world. Again, a little bit like Dagger in the Flame. I gave this 5 stars, and then there was a bit of a break between me reading this and book 2 coming out. So I have book 2. Book 2 is on my shelf. I just haven't read it. I think what I'm going to wait for now... do we have a release date for book 3? I feel like I've seen something potentially about book 3. It can't be too far away. I think I'm going to wait for book 3 to come out and then reread the whole series to have it in its entirety. It's been a while since I read this, so I do feel like I need to refresh my memory a little bit. But this was fantastic, and again, it's another series I would be very disappointed in myself if I didn't go back and read it. Like, I'm going to wait for book 3, and I'm making that decision to wait for it. But as soon as book 3 is out, I better be diving back into this world. Up next, we have the Eversea series by LJ Andrews. I have really mixed opinions on this series. I loved book 1 and book 2, The Ever King and the Ever Queen. I really did not enjoy The Mist Thief, which was book 3 in the series. That followed a different couple. Am I going to read the rest of this? I think I will. There was enough in book 1 and book 2 for me that even though book 3 wasn't my favourite, I do still love this world, and I am interested in more of those side characters and exploring more about their stories. So as we start to see that in book 4, 5, 6, I don't know how many books are going to be in this world. There's definitely a couple more, I think 6. I probably will at least give the next book a go, the 4th book, and then if at that point I'm not vibing with it, I might put it down. But there was enough in the original duology to encourage me to go ahead and actually probably pick up book 4. Am I going to read the rest of you? I think I am, but this is I think so. I'm pretty split on it, but I think I'm mainly leaning towards yes, I'm probably going to try at least and read the rest of the series as it comes out. Next up, we have The Witch Collector by Carissa Weeks. Again, this one I'm really on the fence about. This one I actually soft DNF'd, so I enjoyed book 1. I really struggled with book 2 for this series. The time that I read this, I think book 3 was just about to come out. It hadn't been released just yet. I don't actually know if that finished the series, if it was a 3-book series. It has been quite a few years since I picked this up, and I do often wonder, like I keep seeing this pop up on recommendations. It feels like it's getting a bit more hype again, and I did really enjoy book 1. There's something about this and its story and its characters that feels like it should be right up my street, and I can't fully remember why I put this down. I think book 2 for me felt a little bit fillery and a little bit too long, and I think I just wasn't vibing with it and I wasn't interested in picking it up. I'd kind of lost interest in the series at that point. But I do wonder, there is really something to be said about reading books when you're in the right frame of mind for them. There are so many series that like I've started to read, not been in the right space for, and then like picked up later down the line and absolutely adored. So I think I am actually going to try and go back and reread this one. Will I finish it? I don't know, but there's definitely a desire within me to revisit this a couple of years later, now that my reading tastes have changed slightly as well, and just see whether I still feel the same about book 2 or like whether I just wasn't in the right frame of mind for this series. It does seem like on the tin it's everything that I would love like in one series. So yeah, I need to do some research, maybe figure out if the series is finished. If you guys know, let me know in the comments. Why do I think there's at least one more book to come? So I'll do a bit of research, I'll see if it is finished or when its final books might be coming, and then I'll probably make a decision. For me, I'm really on the fence about this one. I do want to give it another go. I think I probably will at least try to reread book 1. Will I get further than that? We'll see. Next up, we have a series by the Twisted Sisters, and this is their Darkmore Penitentiary series, or the Caged Wolf series. This is connected to 2 of my favourite series from the Twisted Sisters, which is Zodiac Academy and Ruthless Boys of the Zodiac. The Twisted Sisters, if you haven't read them before, is Caroline Peckham and Susan Valenti. Just in case you're wondering, they have a nickname because they're pretty twisted. Hands up in the comments if you've been personally victimised by Zodiac Academy or any of their other books, honestly. I'm about to say something so controversial, but I don't think I'm going to finish this. I have read a lot within the world of Zodiac Academy and it still remains one of my favourite series, but having read like probably 20 books in that world, I don't know that I want any more. I'm really, really happy and excited about a lot of the other series that they're writing at the moment that are kind of exploring new worlds. This one for me, I have read as well. What happened with the release of this one was there was 3 books that were out at the time that I read it, and I did read all 3. And then there was quite a gap between book 3 and book 4, and I don't know if the 4th book finished it. I think the series is now finished, but I don't know if it's 4 books or 5 books. I just didn't vibe with... I did actually quite like the female main character, Rosalie, in this one. I just didn't really vibe with the male love interest in this. The only one I vibed with was Leon's older brother, Rory. The rest of them, like, I don't know, this story just wasn't for me. I love the characters in Zodiac Academy. I absolutely adore Ruthless Boys of the Zodiac. That one is one of my, like, 5-star, immediately go and read this kind of books. I just think this one, I don't think I'm going to finish this series. I read enough of it that I feel like I understood where it was going. I feel like I'm happy in the knowledge that Rosalie and her boys were probably okay at the end. And that's enough for me. I'm happy to kind of live in ignorance of the rest of the story, just knowing where they were, the challenges they faced, and that they probably are okay at the end. That's where I'm comfortable sitting, so I'm probably not going to finish this one. What I will be prioritising finishing, however, is the Neverkeep, or the Sins of the Zodiac series by Caroline Peckham and Susan Valenti. This one, the first 2 books are out. I actually read book 1 as a ARC and really, really loved it. Book 3 has been announced. Cindervale is out soon and it is on my list. In fact, book 2 and book 3 are on my 26 books for 2026, the books that I'm trying to desperately get through this year. So this one is absolutely a priority for me to finish. Again, I'm book 1 in. I've tried not to include books where I've just read book 1 on this list. I've only included them if they've got like significant, like book 2 is already out, for example, rather than book 2 is just on pre-order. But book 2 is out and book 2 has been out for a while, so it's a nice reminder for me that the series does exist and it does need my attention to go back to it. I am going to need to reread book 1 because I have forgotten a lot of what happened in this. I think I read this in such a whirlwind and it was so... I remember the ending being absolutely chaotic and crazy in the best way possible. So I'm excited to give this a reread, dive back in to Echo Fort and then Cindervale when it comes out. But again, I think I'm probably going to wait until the 3rd book is released until I dive back into this one. But yes, Sins of the Zodiac is definitely on my list to finish as a series. Next up, we have From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout. Will I be finishing From Blood and Ash? Don't be silly. Of course I will be. I have committed so much time and energy and like brain space to this series and remembering who everybody is and what's going on. I will have to finish this series. It doesn't matter if this series is like 50 books long. I will be reading every single book. So far, I have read everything that has released from this series, plus I've read the spin-off Flesh and Fire, and I've also read every single page of that Visions of Flesh and Fire, you know, the one that's like the compendium with the information in, and that's got like a couple of extra bonus POVs in there, but mainly it's about like, who are the gods, who are the characters, where are they at, what happened, what is this land about, what is that prophecy. That book, I've even read every page of that book. At this point, this has become such a personality trait for me in a series that people really associate me with. The only reason I have red hair, actually, is because of Poppy. We can all thank Poppy for whatever's going on in this space. This was the first time I'd really seen myself in a character and I'd really connected to and love something. I remember again at the time I read this, it was right at the beginning of me getting back into reading. I just finished reading ACOTAR, I just had a read of Throne of Glass, and then I devoured this and I was like, guys, they're onto something with this one. I love Jennifer L. Armentrout. I'm also really, really lucky enough to be on JLA's review team. So I do get early copies of this series, which I think is fantastic, and it really gives me so much time to digest them and get my thoughts in order, because I always have so many theories. I really love that this series prompts me to start thinking about, like, oh my god, but who is that person, and what does it mean that that's their name, and like, why is that person reminiscent of that thing? Like, my brain, it really tickles it in the exact way that I need it to get those juices flowing. So absolutely, I'm going to be finishing From Blood and Ash. I almost included Fall of Ruin and Wrath on this list as well, because I thought Fall of Ruin and Wrath book 2 was out, but it's not. This one I will also be diving back into. I will need to reread this one. I cannot remember any of it, but this one is ingrained in my brain. Absolutely, I'll be finishing this series. I don't care how many books it is. Up next, we have the Crimson Sail series by Katie Roberts. Now, I wanted to love this. I've read book 1 and 2. I think the third book is the final book. Correct me if I'm wrong, it might not be. So there's not too much commitment needed from me here. I would just have to read the third book. However, I just didn't care about this one enough, which is a real shame for me because I've really loved other things from Katie Robert. This one just wasn't quite for me. The Dragon's Bride, however, that one was phenomenal. I enjoyed book 2 more than I did book 1. I'm surprised I actually dived into book 2 because I wasn't the most keen on book 1 in this series. Book 2 was better in my opinion, but again, I think because each of the books in this series is following a different couple, I think like it's really gonna depend for me on whether I'm vibing with those specific characters and whose point of view it's being told in. So I could see that really clearly in the fact that I enjoyed the point of view of the characters in book 2 more than I did of the characters in book 1. But I feel like book 2 I just enjoy because of the characters, and I don't know that I'm too interested in trying to get to know the characters in book 3. So this one I'm probably not going to be finishing, unfortunately. Up next, we have the Falling for Fable series by Jenna Wolfhart. I've read book 1 and book 2, Forged in Magic and Brewed in Magic, but I'm yet to read book 3, Mind in Magic. And then why do I think there is another book in this series already out or coming out? I think there's more to come in this one. Again, let me know if I'm wrong in the comments. Will I be finishing this one? Absolutely, I will. This is one of my favourite recommendations for people who like cozy, slightly monster romance. Like some of them are more monstery than others. But cozy romance, these are delicious, and they're also super spicy as well if you like a combination of cozy and spicy, which I certainly do. These are actually the only books I've ever read from Jenna Wolfhart, and I know that she has a very popular other fantasy series as well that I do have my eye on. As well as a vampire romance. Actually no, the vampire romance is higher up my TBR. I need to grab a copy of that. I think that's called Bad Blood. Taking a mental note to pick up a copy of Bad Blood by Jenna Wolfhart. But this series particularly, I am such a huge fan of. As you can see, I've grabbed some special editions of this. I love it so much. However, again, like contemporary romance, I feel like I read cozy fantasy less than I do like some of the other fantasy romance that I read. So this I'm saving for probably the autumn time when I'm in that cozier space and really craving some kind of cozy fantasy romance. I think that's when I'm going to dive into these. But will I be finishing them? Absolutely I will. These are fantastic. Up next, we have the Faithlings and Corset String series by Tessonia Odette. Will I be finishing this series? Yeah, probably. I'm probably going to read this. I really enjoyed book 1. The only reason I've put this down for now, I do have a copy of book 2 ready to go, and I've actually pre-ordered some special editions from the author for a Polycon, so I think I'm going to be unhauling these editions because the special editions are just these, but with foiling and a sprayed edge. So, yeah, I guess this will be leaving my shelf soon. But yeah, I'll absolutely be finishing this series, I think. I think there's more books to come. There is 2 out currently. I do think she's going to do more in this world. But the reason I put this down is I didn't realise the author's books are all set within the same world of Fairway, and whilst I think you can read them in any order, they're kind of not connected amongst the series to my knowledge. I do kind of maybe want to go back and read some of the other series that happened first in Fairway. I think this is the latest installation into that world. That being said, I think if I go back and read the other ones and the other ones aren't for me, then I still will be absolutely finishing this one. It was gorgeous. Also, look, look at this. But again, this is a cozier romantasy, so I think when I'm in that mood for that cozy romantasy that I do love, but I just don't read as much as maybe some other subgenres of fantasy romance, like I said with Jenna Wolfhart, that's probably when I'll be diving into this one too. The Planet Barbarians series by Ruby Dixon. I have a hard time with this one. I love this. I love the first, I want to say like 5 or 6 books immensely. This series introduced me to monster romance, and for that reason I will be forever grateful to it. However, why is it so long? I swear there's like 20 something books, and then isn't there also like a clone series? Look, I've read a solid 10 or 11, I want to say, including maybe some of the like mini novellas, like there's Barbarians Treat, which I think is a Halloween novella, and I've read a lot of the ones that are included in the back of the paperbacks. Will I finish this? I probably am never ever going to finish this. I'm not putting down the series. I think if the next book comes out and it looks great, I will pick it up. I've been buying them as they've been coming out in the paperbacks, but I actually recently unhauled them. I've decided that I don't need them on my shelf anymore. I have one special edition of Planet Barbarians that I love. So I'm not saying I'm never going to finish this, because who knows? I don't honestly think I'm ever going to get through the like 50,000 books in this series. However, I do think I will continue to read it as they start coming out, and at some point I will probably go, that's enough of that. I'll just reread the first ones. Those first ones are still the best in my opinion. Actually, when a new one comes out, it kind of makes me just want to reread the first ones because they're better in my opinion. So I don't know, maybe I'll just go back and reread. Along the same veins, what is this called? The Artifactal Guild series, I think this is what it's called, by Ruby Dixon. The one with the Minotaurs. Read book one was fine. This is a series I definitely don't think I will be finishing. I don't like it as much as I liked Planet Barbarians. And again, I liked it enough, but not enough that I'm in any rush to like get to it next. It was a super easy read and super spicy, so who knows, if I hit like a big slump brick wall and I need to dive back into something that feels easy, that's super spicy, that has some monster romance elements in there, maybe I will find my way back to this one day. But at the moment, I'm not in any rush to finish this one. I'm so sorry, Ruby Dixon. Look, I will also always be a Vectel and Georgie fan, but maybe this one's not for me. And the last series I want to talk about is the Fourth Wing, or the Imperium series by Rebecca Yarros. Will I finish this series? I don't know, you know, I think so. I want to say yes. I want to optimistically say yes, I'm going to finish this. I love book one. Book one was fantastic. I was really lucky that I got to read this at a time like just before the hype picked up, and it really kind of gave me the space to enjoy that without being influenced by anything I was seeing online, because I was seeing nothing online about it. And then book two for me was just a little disappointment. I spoke about this in my video where I ranked, like, I tier ranked some popular fantasy romance books. I spoke about it there as well, but there was just something that happened in book two for me where I feel like I lost some of the characterization. So much so that I haven't read book three. However, I've put this series down very gently, like literally just like placing it, because I enjoyed this one so much. I do think I'm going to go back to this. I'm just going to wait until the series is finished. I think because it is now starting to release, like, these are big books and they are going through lots of editing, and it's a very popular series, so like the time these are releasing by is quite staggered, which is absolutely fine. It takes a while to write a good book, you know. I just personally don't want to put myself through reading this, and when I read Iron Flame, I reread this. So I've actually read this 2 or 3 times, I think now. Iron Flame I've just read the once, Onyx Storm I haven't touched. I think what I'm going to do is, rather than keep rereading it every time a new book comes out, is I'm going to hold off. I'm going to wait for the series to be complete. I've been collecting these in, are they doing graphic audios? I either have the graphic audios pre-ordered, I think, or they've already done the first one. I've been buying the graphic audios as they've been coming out. So I do have the intention to go back to this series. I just don't know if it's going to be anytime soon. Like, this is not top of my list, must pick that back up immediately. I'm going to wait till the series is finished. There's so much going on with the series. I think there's going to be at least 5 books, potentially more. So we've got book 4 and 5 to come, at least. I'm just going to wait until they are out. And then hopefully diving back into this as a completed series will be a really enjoyable experience for me. Now, that is not all of the book series that I am in the middle of or have started and haven't finished, but those are the ones that came to my brain when I sat down to film today. Those are the ones I've been thinking about the most, I guess, either because I am excited to continue them, or I've been probably sat here going like, I should probably put you down. Let me know in the comments if there was anything in there that surprised you. Is there any of those series I've said, I don't know, I'm thinking about picking it back up, thinking about giving it another chance, or like absolutely not, that you love? Tell me in the comments. Let me know which of these I should be finishing in your opinion. Let me know which of these series I could probably put down. Like, I want to know. Has anybody finished any of these? What did you think of them? That is everything for this video, but I do have a new video for you every Sunday. So if you're a fantasy romance fan, or you're trying to read more fantasy romance books in 2026, make sure you are subscribing before you head off today. And I will see you in the next one.